How's it going, everyone? It's Wednesday, May 12th. You're tuning in to THHoopers, Al Jefferson's favorite basketball podcast. I'm here with George Martin.
Hello, everybody.
And no Josh Rose today, so we have Josh Nowakowski swapping one Josh for another. How you doing today, Josh?
I'm good. What's going on, fellas?
Josh Nowakowski is from the J Sports Podcast. He's a recurring guest here. We're a recurring guest on his. Let us down the ball in the comments. Which Josh you like better? Just kidding. Don't do that. I'm Jacob Lehman. We got a good show for you guys. Recap yesterday's ball, Georgia's halftime, and then just going to be covering some storylines. We are going to be trying out a little bit of a different format here. So if we do actually have listeners, one, you're greatly appreciated, and two, let us know how you like this format. If you like the old way we do it, or you'll kind of see the differences we have in this one. So you can let us know about that on Instagram and Twitter at THHoopers. Drop a comment anywhere. We'll shout you out. Just some more bots last time, but I gave them a piece of my mind. So I meant maybe they'll stop coming around, or maybe I'm just encouraging them. Who really knows what's going on?
Emperor, maybe?
Just so you know, Danny Stiff, Jay Guardhouse, we see you. Danny Stiff Danny Sponders was the one that kind of propelled this kind of change, and I was bouncing some ideas off him, and he was giving some good feedback that showed he actually does listen to the podcast. So appreciate you. And we're going to get right into it. So we're going to start with what our look heads were from last podcast. Josh Rose, who isn't here right now, he's on girlfriend duties. Happy birthday, Doina. His look ahead was Lakers-Knicks. So we're going to go all the way to Tuesday. Knicks took the Lakers to overtime and ended up losing at Staples. Let me get to that game. 101-99. Very low scoring game because Tom Thibodeau is in fact stuck in 2011. He will play his guys 40 minutes. He will play hard-nosed defense, and ultimately he will get those guys playing hard. So Kuzma 23 and Randall 31 and 8. One thing I noticed from here, and then I'll let you guys kind of get to talking because I wasn't able to catch this one. Randall 31, D Rose 27. No one else in double figures for the Knicks. So I'll start with George for this one.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to 90s basketball. This was some hard edge defensive game. I mean, it was great down to the wire. Both defenses were great, not allowing either team to really propel much of a lead. I think the Knicks' biggest lead was 10. That was the biggest lead of the game, but not a lot of open shots here. Great atmosphere. Came down to the wire. Lakers defense won in the end.
Can you break down the end of regulation?
So, yeah, Lakers were basically clawing. We were within 5, and then they get a few stops, and Knicks go up 2. Lakers come down, get a huge stop. AD puts the brakes on Randall. And then Lakers get the ball back, go down. KCP shoots 3, misses. Wesley Matthews gets a huge tip-in to tie the game. They come down. Randall forces up a shot, goes into overtime. But yeah, Anthony Davis was huge on defense down the stretch. I think the Knicks only scored 6 points in the last 5 minutes. They really shut him down there at the end. Drummond had a really effective game. He created a lot of opportunities on the offensive board. I have to give credit where it's due there. He really kind of saved them in the end. He, kickouts to threes, and yeah, I mean, I wish we got more games like this, mid 90s, low 100s scoring with
you like the slow burns.
I like it. Bucks are giving up 146 and scoring 130. That's not fun. I mean, this really felt like a 2010s Western Conference Finals matchup.
So I'll break down overtime for everyone who didn't catch it. Very, very, very close back and forth. And then THT, after a crazy Randall 3 that put him up by 1, THT comes down, 25 seconds left, takes a screen from AD, I believe. It's a clutch 3. And then that last possession from the Knicks was not good. Me and Nowakowski were talking about it before. So Nowakowski, tell me about that last possession for the Knicks, and then also what you saw from Drummond in this game. Drummond this game, 16 and 18 in 35 minutes, playing some key minutes on the stretch for the first time in a few games.
So to break down that last possession, I believe Randall and Rose both had the ball in their hands at some point in that possession. Why Randall gave it up, I don't know. Even Rose, why he gave it up. Barrett wasn't having a great game, so I did not like the ball with him in his hands at the end of the game. And then it just seemed it was 5 out, and just no one was moving, really. So it was just a really sloppy possession from the Knicks, and it turned into an awful shot. But yeah, talking about Drummond, I just wanted to, so the offensive rebounds, I don't know how many Drummond had. He had 18 total rebounds, but the Lakers had 14 offensive rebounds compared to the Knicks' 5 offensive rebounds.
Drummond had 5 rebounds.
So he had 5 of the 14 offensive rebounds.
It's huge.
Which is how many the total Knicks team had. It just shows there are some matchups you can play Drummond and he can be effective on the court. There were a few possessions where I saw him kind of space the floor actually and move to the corner for Anthony Davis. Just the Knicks, they play a different brand of defense, so Davis couldn't really get going. But hopefully you just hope Caruso's not out too long. That's the big concern for the Lakers. Hopefully Caruso's back next game and the Lakers can somehow avoid this play-in.
Do you think matchups for Drummond are more like who's their starting center or the play style? Because I think we've been trying to figure out what starting centers work for them. Then I keep saying you put him in pick and roll because Nurk is lumbering center, but Dame will cook in if you get that switch. Is it kind of like if it's a slow burn type of game, like me and George are saying, if it's a very slow paced game, is that a Drummond game?
Yeah, I think if it's a slow paced game, it's a Drummond game. It does depend on the team's play style. But there are some centers where you can, like tonight on Noel, which obviously you're not going to see in the playoffs. But even against someone like Jokic, I know we kind of talked about it before the pod, that like you can just throw him out there to get fouls that take away from Trez and Gasol not getting fouls. You can take him out there to kind of just be aggressive on Jokic and rough him up a little bit. I do want to mention this, though, real quick. At the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter, Lehman said, Drummond good game equals Lakers loss. George said, this game is over. I've seen this too many times.
You can't. Okay, attack me all you want. Because George says that every game. Like, Lakers up by 10. He's like, Lakers can't do it. We're not repeating this.
And guess
George
what?
freaks
They
out.
come back and win. It's a reverse strings, baby.
You can quote me because I still agree with that.
It does happen. Sometimes you're right.
It does happen a lot, so I agree with that. Right. But you got to give George a little bit of slack. He over exaggerates a lot. Moving on to the Knicks here. Not as much to talk about. Oh, finish that.
I was just saying it was a 7-point game when George said that.
Lakers could be winning, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, they gave up that corner three." That's how it starts.
You should have seen me in the bubble, man. I remember that it was like against the Pacers or whatever. TJ Warren had like 45. I was freaking out. I'm like, we're not winning. Quinn Cook's playing.
Yeah, he's not a good person to watch a game with. If you're not one used to him, and two, you get a little bit of anxiety watching your favorite team because he will convince you that your favorite team will not win and that somehow the team is just head over heels the entire competition. But yeah, for the Knicks, they now drop to the 6th seed. They're in a 3-way tie. But it looks like because of NBA.com, they don't own a lot of the tiebreakers. So Atlanta's in the 4 seed right now, Miami the 5 seed, and the Knicks the 6 seed. Good news, they will not be in the play-in tournament because the Celtics are 3 games back. From
who'd you say was the 4 seed currently?
Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat, and New York.
I have the Heat being 4 on what I'm looking at, but
really,
yeah,
I'm on NBA.com. So yeah, it's a 3-way tie there. Heat are on a 3-game win streak. I don't see them getting the 6th seed, so it's looking like the Heat are going to be a top 4 or 5 seed. Who do you trust to get that 5 seed more, the Hawks or the Knicks, George?
I don't know, man. The Hawks have been playing really, really sound basketball lately. I'd have to look at the remaining schedule. I might still have to say the Hawks. They've been just playing all around. I know the Knicks are, probably a top 3 defense. Hawks have been top 10, I assume, lately since Lloyd Pierce took over, and their offense has been magnificent. So, I mean, I'm probably going to have to say the Hawks here.
Nowakowski.
Yeah, I agree with George there. Like, who knew that one coaching change made all the difference in the world for this team? Like, it's insane. And obviously,
he was the guy that was fired last season.
Yeah, and obviously health had an issue with the Hawks. They were very injured early on. But yeah, I really like Atlanta, and Miami they've just been so inconsistent. They go on these weird runs. If that's the 4-5 matchup, I like Atlanta.
Oh, I'm taking Miami to the
I'm taking Miami to win a first-round series. It's looking like if they get any type of 4-5. And then you know how fun it would be if we get a Milwaukee-Miami first round, just because I would take Milwaukee because I'm a lot more confident in them than I was years past. But, I mean, how perfect would that be? Like, oh, you want to prove you're legit? Face your demons first round. Face the type of defense that has your number the last year.
If Miami ends with 4 and they get past the first round, they play the Sixers in the second round.
Yeah, and the Sixers win in 5. I don't know why you're making that funny-ass face.
George, if all I'm going to say is George will shut his phone off if it's Heat Bucks rematch. He just won't be on.
That's the
Twitter
worst
for
matchup for them.
series.
That is the abs.
But you have my seal of approval, George. The Heat will get bounced if they play the Bucks.
Bucks in 6, but it still worries me.
So only way we can get our Battle of New York now, just because it's looking like Brooklyn's gonna get that 2 or 3 seed. Knicks have to stay 6, and Nets have to lose their 1-game lead on the Bucks. So it's not looking pretty, but it still is. It still is in play.
Yeah.
Anything else to add from this one?
Nope.
All right, so now on the George's look ahead. He finally remembered, and he picked a pretty damn good game. Miami played the Celtics on Tuesday and beat up on them, 129-121. Let's see. Yeah, Kemba Walker, I want to mention this, 36 points. He's been playing really, really well. So I will get to Josh for that. But, George, what did you see in this one? Looks like Miami really took advantage in that second quarter. And that the second and third quarter, they won by a combined 12 points.
Tyler Hero was looking like his bubble self where he would snarl every time he made a go-ahead 3. But 24 on 10 of 15. Like I've said, their guards really raise their ceiling if they can get going scoring-wise, shooting-wise. Bam, he really was just having his way. You know, Boston doesn't have really any interior presence. Tristan Thompson isn't scaring anybody, especially Bam Adebayo. Celtics here, they're not looking great, especially with the loss of Jaylen Brown. We're gonna get to later. Outside of Kemba, I mean, great game from Tatum, but not many other contributors. Especially their bench scoring has completely fallen off now, and now the other guys are gonna have to step up. I don't see much coming from their bench, and I don't even know if they even make it to the playoffs, honestly. It depends who they play in the play-in, but Miami, their offense in the last few games has been a lot better, more consistent, again, because of the guard play. So if they can sustain that, I mean, you have them being a second-round exit. They make a matchup with Philly potentially interesting. I would probably end up going with Philly, even though I think it could be competitive, but yeah, they've been looking a lot better. Jimmy Butler looks like he's ready to go on another deep playoff run, so we'll see what happens.
Jimmy Butler only 17 minutes this game. I'm not seeing anything that shows me worried about him getting injured, but I do believe he missed a little bit of time in the middle of the game. Do you know anything about Jimmy and his full minutes?
Whoops.
Oh my god.
Dude, I did. Anyways, he got poked in the eye, so I don't think it's anything serious. He got poked in the eye and left the game, so I don't think it was anything serious.
Okay, good. Josh, cover us for the Celtics point of view.
Celtics point of view, I mean, if you want to get to the Kemba Walker talk, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago, kind of in group chats, where we think, okay, we need Kemba to score 15 to 20 and just be somewhat efficient, and that's good enough. With the loss of Jaylen Brown, I think he needs to be that number 2 guy with what Jaylen Brown was for Tatum, where they both need to drop 25 plus just to even be in a game. They did it tonight and lost. So it's scary hours for the Celtics right now.
The Beantown boys are not looking good. I mean, Evan Fournier, 20 points. He plays a lot better as a starter than a bench player for these Boston Celtics. But their bench scores 5, 6, 7, and 2. And they toss Semi Ojeleye 2 minutes for shigs and gigs. But they're going to rely on their starters, and one of their starters is Tristan Thompson. I don't think they're going to have enough offense. We'll get to the long-term repercussions of the Jaylen Brown injury as far as playing and where we see him ending and stuff. But they just don't have enough offense or defense now because Jaylen Brown was their best two-way player, and now it's not looking the best. George, anything else you saw from your look ahead here?
No, I mean, basically that steals the deal on any chance of the Celtics getting into the playoffs. They're gonna have to stay in the play-in now. Miami can't be lower than a 6, so they got what they wanted here. It was a big game, and they played like something was on the line.
Yeah, I mean, we'll cover a lot more in the halftime report with Jaylen Brown's injury, and then we also covered a lot of the Heat stuff. They're playing very good on offense recently, and they haven't even gotten Oladipo back. But I mean, Miami peaking at the right time here, and they're in a very similar situation, the 4-5 seed. Everyone's doubting them. Their defense is clicking. They're getting injured players back. It's going to be tough to fill out those playoff brackets just because Miami's going to break a lot of them. Time for my look ahead. Wizards Hawks. I had it strictly because Russ Westbrook was looking like he was going to make history. Spoiler alert, he did. But it was also a pretty good game. It was I had this opinion that I've been watching everyone. I guess everyone has been reading my mind. The most Russell Westbrook game like you could ever imagine. Breaks the triple-double record. Wills his team back in the fourth quarter. I believe, they outscore Atlanta by 16 in the fourth quarter and still lose by 1. They get that defensive stop. Russ is setting everyone up. Then he comes down. They're down by 1, and he just chucks up a 3 for no reason. And he bricks it because it's Russell Westbrook. It's just the most perfect. It's like when Kobe took the most shots ever in a game in his last game. It's a perfect storybook ending. And Russell Westbrook's career isn't over by any means, but it was a perfect Russell Westbrook game. Other than that, saw a lot that I liked from Trae Young. 36 here on 50% shooting. He's being a lot more selective. He's 1 for 7 from 3 here, which I don't like. But what I do like is only 7 attempts because, early in the year he'd be like, "Oh, I'm Steph Curry. I steal everything about him. I'm gonna foul out and do this, do that." And he just starts hucking up these threes, and he goes 1 for 14. And you can't have that if you're a point guard when you have such a gifted passing ability. You got guys like Bogdanovich, John Collins, and Clint Capella that is getting 22 boards for you. So I think him running the offense is looking really, really well. Anything else from Atlanta you guys saw here before we get to just a lot of Russ praise? I know Nowakowski's looking sick already, but Josh, anything else to add here for the Hawks?
Good game from the Hawks. I really, I do agree with the Trae Young. I do like that it was only 7 3-point attempts, and only person to out rebound Russell Westbrook was Clint Capella, and that is a man among boys when he goes up for rebounds.
George.
I mean, Russell Westbrook making history. It's absolutely been phenomenal to watch, especially just the past like 4 or 5 years ever since KD left. I mean, he's just been a man on a mission and incredible motor. The way he plays, it's just, I call it 1 of 1, even though you can't really say that, I guess, because Russell Westbrook is the guy Oscar Robertson's the guy he's been chasing his whole career. But I mean, just his motor, the way he plays. I don't know if something like this can be, replicated. I don't know if he can get past. If he can stay healthy and not have, much of a decline in the next few years and get, well over the mid 200s.
I want to. Where do you guys have him finishing as far as triple doubles go? Because he doesn't need to be slowing down. He has at least one of these years left. And he got, I believe, it was his 38th of the year in a 72-game season. And they probably played 69 of them so far. But I mean, he's definitely getting 250, right? Is he going to be able to push 3? Is there a way he can push 3?
Well, I mean, you figure if he's got like 3 or 4, if he has 4 seasons left, he could get 30. See, by that 3rd or 4th season.
Well, so in his last 6 weeks, he's gotten 11% of his triple doubles. 6 weeks. Like, he just goes on tears like this. And I believe okay, let's see, 11% of 118.
And can we talk about how his triple doubles lead to wins? It's not stat padding. They get wins.
I have it right here. Record when he gets triple double all time. 136 and 45. He wins every time he gets a triple double.
Is that like 75% of the games?
75%, yeah. Every time.
Is that regular season and playoffs?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
I don't know for sure. It's coming to us from MJSLBJ.
Okay, I was just wondering. Just curious.
Do they count his triple doubles in the playoffs as far as like his 182?
I don't believe so.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Then it's whatever because that equals 181. This is before his game. So I guess it is 136 and 46 because he lost that game. But yeah, do you guys see him pushing 300? Or is he
I'd say it's like 270. It all depends on if he slows down in health. Because like 30 a season, if we do stay at 82, isn't anything crazy. I mean, it is crazy, but for his standards, it's not completely crazy. But yeah, I think he gets over the 250 threshold at the very least.
So yeah, he recorded 1 in 22 of his last 26 games, and he's averaged 1 for the past 4 of the 5 seasons. And if you take his stats from the last 5 seasons, it's averaging a triple-double. He said that down here with the Rockets where like his stats weren't looking the best. And then just to defend him even more, because I feel like I have to, these assists were necessary. Like Davis Bertans was like hitting a bunch of threes, 98 threes, and Russ was smart enough to know I'm not a 3-point shooter. So he was feeding Bertans every single time. Bertans had some crazy shots. Like I think he banked into 3 one of these times. It was very impressive.
He did bank a 3 there when they were going. Yeah. They went on a 19-1 run to even get them back in the game, and Russ was, it does help them win games because he grabs the board and he's running downhill and he's got floor spaces around him to pass the ball. Guys rim running like Gafford. I mean, it unloads their offense. So that's why so many times even in OKC, like Adams would let him get the board. He'd run down and PG or even like he wasn't getting as many with Katie, but just other guys like Depot and Sabonis when they were there, it helped him open up the offense.
So, Josh, as a guy who's not the biggest Russ guy, do you believe he's a stat pattern? Like, do you believe in that narrative?
No. I don't believe. I haven't believed in that narrative of being a stat pattern. It's just I think we kind of all agree. I don't think he can be a number one guy on a championship team. I don't know if he can be a number two where he's at in his career. I think he can be a number three guy and win a championship. Number two, I can debate that, and I'm okay with giving in and saying sure he can. But no, I don't believe in the stat padding narrative. I think I did early on, but like the last few years, especially this year in Washington, it's not stat padding. It's finding open teammates and making great plays is what he's been doing.
Yeah, if they were like, 15, 10, and 10, like then you could be like, okay, yeah, maybe he's looking for that last assist. Like he had 28, 13, and 21 assists this game. And a lot of these games, in the month of May, he's averaging like 18 assists. Like you don't want to stat pad that. So I agree with you there. And then, I think he has the talent of a number two still, but just his play style doesn't mesh well. That's why I don't think I'll see him winning two. He's the biggest. He's one of the. Yeah, I'd say he's a top 5 floor raiser in the NBA, just because he'll get you to the playoffs, and he's proven that this year. But he's very tough to make work as far as like winning championships, and that's where I draw the line there, even as a big Russ guy.
Exactly, and he had Bradley Beal this year, and they're fighting in the East, and it's not all Russ's fault. Washington's dealt with injuries to some guys, and Denny Advia, he took a while to get going for them. So I don't hold Russ accountable for that. I understand where the stat padding came from when he was in Oklahoma City, though, because there were times where he was like shoving Nick Collison out of the way to grab a rebound. Like there were a few times he would do something kind of like, okay, man, like.
There was that one game, I think it was against Phoenix, where like they were up by like 9, or they're up or down by like 19. He was like looking for an assist. He was like right there, and like it was embarrassing as a big Russ supporter. But those days are long gone.
Exactly. I dropped that stat padding when he dropped. I mean, it's not like he's barely getting triple doubles. He is getting a ton of triple doubles, like by 5-10 rebounds, over the threshold. And I'm pretty sure I heard it today on the radio. I'm pretty sure he leads the NBA in being 1 away from triple doubles this year with like another 19. 19 times he's been 1 assist or 1 rebound away from another triple double.
Yeah, he also leads in NBA in assists, and he's 5th in rebounding. So that's Russell Westbrook for you. Moving on, we are going to tackle the Warriors back-to-back wins. So they beat the Jazz 116-119 on Monday, and then they turned right around and they beat Phoenix 122-116. So I want to start with Utah. They were missing their backcourt as usual, but not really an excuse as Curry is missing, Wiseman and Clay, if we want to get technical. Clarkson 41 off the bench, Curry 36. I'll start with George on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to give some flowers here to a not so usual suspect. Andrew Wiggins, over his last 30 games, 20 points per game on 48-38.
Wait till you see what he did next game against the Suns.
His stat line. He's been playing pretty good defense. He's definitely been their third most consistent guy out of Steph and Dre. And I've been kind of harping on they need more consistency out of other guys, because some nights Steph goes for 45-50 and they're still losing games because no one else can put the ball in the basket. Even Draymond, there's literally stats out there. He puts over 10 points in a game, their chances of winning skyrocket. So they've looked impressive in these last 2 games. I mean, they're playing the 1 and 2 seeds. One of them are obviously harped with injuries, but especially this game, they fought back. They weathered the storm against Phoenix for sure. And yeah, Steph, Wiggins, I mean, they were great down the stretch.
One thing I like that they did was they really controlled Bogdan in the fourth quarter. I believe he was 9 for 15, 25 points, ended with 27 points, 9 for 21. So they really did try and, they really figured out how to guard him in that one. And then they kind of just, Clarkson 41, but it took him 33 shots to get there. Their defense was decent, and it only has to be decent if their offense is going to be like that. Like I said, Curry 36, Draymond 12 and 10. And like you said, Wiggins been stepping up. Josh, what did you see from this game?
Well, so I'm going to talk kind of about Steph in both games. For this game against Utah, to see him drop 36 when he shot 3 of 13 from 3, I mean, he was finding other ways to score, which is something I think is really important to Steph's game, is not relying so much on the 3 ball. This game against Utah, against, taller, bigger guys, he was finding other ways to score, getting in the paint, getting other players involved as well with 6 assists. So it was good to see the Warriors win a game where Steph didn't shoot particularly well from 3.
Yeah, and then I always knew he's good at driving the ball because he always has those nifty little layups. Rudy Gobert 0 blocks, by the way, in this game, which hurts me to say. But Steph's also taking middies, which was very, very interesting. I was like, Steph taking a midi. Interesting. Moving on to their next game. So they beat the Suns 122-116. Booker 34, Chris Paul 10 assists. Wiggins 38. Like George mentioned, really has been stepping it up. Golden State outscores them by 12 in the fourth quarter, which is another thing. Like I've been talking, Suns just kind of either come out asleep or they fall asleep during the game. I don't know if they're just not motivated. I don't know if they think they're entitled because they are the second seed, but they have a lot to prove still, and that might be showing how young they are. I'll start with you, Nowakowski.
Yeah. So this is where Wiggins impressed me. Steph Curry, 4 points in the first half. The first half, they weathered the storm from Phoenix by not getting down by too much and really just staying in the game, with Steph only having 4 points in the first half. And yeah, this was Andrew Wiggins, 17 of 24, the 38 points. And then Steph found his shot again, 1 of 11 from 3 though. So you take his last 2 games combined, he's hit 4 for 24 from 3. So, I mean,
which is not Steph Curry.
Exactly. That's something I do not want to see consistently from Steph. Like, I don't want to see him finding other ways. Like, of course, I want to see him find other ways to score, but I want him to have his 3 ball as well going. So, so hopefully this is just a little 3-point skid for Steph.
A little hiccup.
Yeah, a little hiccup. But, Golden State really just – they never got too far behind from Phoenix. And then second half, they just took advantage of Phoenix slowing down. I don't know what happened with Phoenix in that fourth quarter. I honestly don't.
Well, maybe George does. By the way, Jordan Poole in both these games, 20 points. So he may be kind of established himself.
He's really been – a lot of people have been advocating for more playing time for him. But interesting thing with the Warriors, 13-5 over their last 18. If they win their last 2, they'll be 15-5. And, a thing with ramping up towards the playoffs, especially the last few weeks of the season, peaking at the right time. You mentioned it with Miami. I mean, if they're peaking at the right time, maybe they're definitely going to be one of the top 8. Maybe they could upset the Lakers. I mean, who knows, and get that 7 seed. But I think for sure, at the very least, they're going to be 8 seed come playoff time.
Yeah, I kept getting upset with this game just because Michael Mulder's still getting playing time. He's not good.
Nobody likes him.
2 for 10 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. I'm not even a Warriors fan, but I just knew these guys didn't like him. I'm like, okay, I'll give him. Let's see what he does. Just clank, 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 clank. Jordan Poole got less minutes than him by only, I think it was 20 seconds. But yeah.
Wait, I do have one more thing to add here.
What do you have to add?
This loss is not on Jay Crowder. He played good tonight. He played well tonight. He had
you're either getting 40% shooting from 3, Jay Crowder, or 27%. No in between.
Well,
no,
what about more? He had 60.
But this is a game where Jay shot 60% from 3. So
every shot he took was a 3-pointer.
It was.
Yeah, Chris Paul, then Booker came through. Everyone else besides Jay Crowder. Actually, I mean, no, they just couldn't keep up with the Warriors' offense. So I'm keeping it real. Everyone else shot a pretty decent percentage. Worst one was Mikal Bridges, 37%. Only took 8 shots though. I mean, their defense just lacking here. They let the Warriors get going late. Yeah. Are you guys buying Golden State in the play-in here? They're going to make it.
Definitely play-in. I buy them making the 8th seed. But
you buy them making the 8th seed?
I buy them making the 8th seed, and we can have a talk about the 1-8 matchup after what they did to Utah and Phoenix. I don't know if they can sustain it for a series.
Yeah.
2-1 against the Jazz this year, just FYI.
Yeah, they got these back-to-back wins against the first, second seed, which, if you're counting along at home on the standings, will be their opponent if they do make the playoffs.
All I'm going to say is I don't know if the Jazz and Suns want to play who might end up at 7 and 8.
I don't know if Gobert wants to be on the floor with Steph.
I mean, they've been dropping games.
Nowakowski brought this up before you got in because you were doing your hair or something. Who wins in a 7-8 matchup? Blazers or Warriors?
I take the Warriors. Blazers defense.
I think the Warriors too.
Okay, so we all have the Warriors in that. Okay,
because and you hit on the nose there. I think the Warriors show at least a sliver of defensive effort. With Montes Connor Anderson and Draymond Green, obviously. Kevon Looney. I hate Kevon Looney, but he's a big guy.
Warriors lineups have a lot of politics centered around it, just because Steve Kerr kind of messes around with his rotations. But in a playoff in a elimination type game, they're going with the lineups that are going to work.
Will Curry take 33s in that play-in game?
Probably. And I mean, if you even look back, like when the Lakers played the Blazers a few games ago, I mean, no Dennis, like no THT. Caruso was the only ball handler. AD was just getting back to AD. They lost by 5. Like their defense wasn't cutting it.
Okay, so I don't want Portland slander. They're 8-2 in their last 10 on a 4-game win streak. I don't want any Mickey Mouse wins for the Portland Trailblazers.
I think the defense is the Achilles heel in a play-in game.
So I will agree with that. But so also, I think right now, I trust Steph. You said it, Lehman. Trust Steph over Dame. And then on top of that, right now, I trust Wiggins over McCollum.
Okay. All right. This might be your last podcast for THHoopers.
I'm just look at Wiggins in his last 2 games. Look at what he's been doing the last month.
Man, come on, bro.
Wait. Okay, hang on.
CJ McCollum had 28 last game, bro. Like he's no scrub.
I'm not saying CJ's playing bad. I'm just saying look at what Wiggins has done his last 2 games. He's dropped 30 bombs. He dropped 38 tonight. I'm just saying CJ hasn't had one of those crazy games. He hasn't had it in a while, and I know he's dealt with injury issues as well.
I mean, 27 and 28 in his last 2 games. I mean, maybe call it a wash if you want to. If I don't want to have a debate with you, I don't think you can swing me. Wiggins is more trustworthy than McCollum.
I can also say Wiggins isn't a great defender, but McCollum isn't great on defense either. And I just the way Wiggins is playing, it's looking up for him. McCollum's playing. He's been playing the same at the same level for me all year. It's 25, 27, 27. Where Wiggins is, okay, he's playing bad. Now he's playing great basketball at that point.
I mean, we'll see. Moving on, we're going to talk about the Grizzlies a little bit here. They had 2 pretty impressive wins, beat the Pelicans 110-115. Not much touch on that game. Pelicans missing a lot of guys, but 19 blocks for the Grizzlies. Ties a franchise record. Slow-mo Kyle Anderson getting in on the fun, 4 blocks there. Valanciunas had 5 blocks. Just great defense from the Grizzlies and continue their defensive game plan. Beat the Mavericks 133-104. No Porzingis, but I mean that's the new Mavericks team. Kept Luka in check. Luka had here, let me pull it up, 4 for 16 from the field, only 12 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So they even stopped him from getting the ball moving because normally I've seen Luka hit the ball in the basket. He has 20 assists. They really figured out Porzingis because Valanciunas has his number. Porzingis doesn't play, and they figure out Luka with Dylan Brooks on him. George, what did you see from this one?
Not much to add from this game specifically, but I want to talk about John Morant's year. A lot of people were kind of, saying he was having an underwhelming year. He wasn't as great, but I mean, they were the 8th seed all year without his second best co-star in Jaren Jackson Jr. And I mean, he sets the tone for that team. He really gets their offense going, and also just Memphis has kind of crushed it with their. They're drafting, they're scouting guys like Desmond Bane, Xavier Tillman, Slow-Mo, drafting Ja and JJJ, bringing.
Well, Slow-Mo was a Spur, if you remember that. It was a while ago.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true. They have a few other guys they drafted that I'm kind of.
Everyone on this team that seems that it's under 25 and they drafted.
Yeah. Taylor Jenkins, pretty underrated coach. Not many people talk about him as one of the more solid guys, but yeah, they have a really decent defense that guy like Luka 4 for 16. I know sometimes he's not the most efficient guy, but I mean, their biggest thing, I guess, is health necessarily, and they're not going to attract any big free agents. So, I mean, as this team gets more playing reps under each other, I feel like, 3-4 years down the line, they can be.
Well, do you? I look at them like the Nuggets when they got like Paul Millsap. I think they're a guy like Paul Millsap away from.
They need like a savvy veteran to kind of turn their corner.
And I don't know if I have one in mind. But I mean, maybe they pick up like a swingman like that.
They need like a. I was gonna say Jay Crowder, but they had Jay Crowder,
and he was not happy there.
I can't really think, but yeah, I mean, they've had kind of just an underwhelming year. I mean, the West has the big greats, but they're kind of there. They've been a lot better than the Pelicans, even though the Pelicans get more like the media hype.
Yeah, I mean,
I might say, I would trust the Grizzlies' future more than I trust the Pelicans.
I definitely do because they have the coach figured out too, and they've proven they can draft well. Pelicans have all those picks. I don't know if they're going to pan out. Who the hell knows? I mean,
the ceiling of the Pelicans is higher. They just have a lot of question marks to figure out. Their front office is sketchy. What, Josh?
I was just going to say that they might be losing Lonzo Ball this offseason too.
Yeah. So Josh, either this game or just Grizzlies Memphis big picture. Grizzlies Mavericks big picture. I will say if they meet in a 7-8 spot, because anything can happen that play as far as seeding wise goes. Yeah. I would take the Grizzlies in almost a heartbeat because I think they're 2-1 against the Mavericks this year, and they only got that one loss because Luka hit that crazy shot. So I think Memphis has Dallas's number, honestly. Josh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Oh, didn't mean to piss y'all off with the Wiggins over McCollum. I know it's a hot take. I know it's hot, but that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling Wiggins right now. Anyways.
You're on Wiggins Island right now. You bought steak.
I'm on Wiggins Island.
Everyone who buys steak at Wiggins Island regrets it. It's like a timeshare. No one, it doesn't age well.
We'll see. But anyways, I mean, Grizzlies playing good. Dylan Brooks better be in an all-defensive team, or we gonna rage.
Okay.
We gonna rage.
Haven't seen much lobbying for Dylan Brooks to make a defensive team, but sure.
He locked Luka.
That's why you listen to THHoopers, the deep cuts.
That's right. Yeah. No one else talks about Dylan Brooks. You don't hear Colin Cowherd talk about.
A lot of people hate him because he's kind of a pest. But yeah, I mean, he fits the archetype of who you want to be on a second all-team defense.
And I mean, I don't have the past games, but he's had very good games against very quality players. Luka tonight was one example. But the Grizzlies, I really like they've dealt with so many injuries, JJJ being the big one. But getting him back in, I know they're managing his injury, so how much he's going to be playing, if he's going to be doing back-to-backs in the playoff, we don't really know what it's going to look like for him. But I do like the Grizzlies, what they've been doing, and I do like them in the play-in. They're one of the teams I really like if they're the 9-10. I like them in the first matchup, and then depending who they draw in the second matchup, it'll be a good game.
All right. George, anything else to add here? Well, now it's time for your halftime, so we have something to add. It's a halftime report for two reasons, half of the show and George is the half hooper. Now that we have three here. So, George, take it away here. I know we have some depressing news to start, though.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a quick one here, and then we'll get into the bigger topics. So, Utah is going to be missing Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley for their last three regular season games. Mitchell was reevaluated on Tuesday. He sustained a a sprained ankle. Let's not spread misinformation here. April 16th, he makes progress towards a return, but he will be out for the last three contests. So, I want to ask if you guys are concerned because they've dropped a few games here, and especially with an ankle sprain, the biggest thing is ramping up and making sure you trust the ankle to cut, jump, all that stuff. So are you concerned with Mitchell's health and then overall with the Jazz, relying on having the continuity with their backcourt going into the playoffs? So I'll start with you, Lehman.
We talked about this the last part of the pod before. I'm not a doctor, so all I can do is just trust that hopefully Mitchell can get back to fully healthy. We need him fully healthy if we're going to see actually good playoffs because if he's not healthy, I think that 7 or 8 seed, whether it's the Lakers, Mavericks, Blazers, or Warriors, might upset the number 1 seed.
Any of those four, wow.
We might see a We Believe Warriors part 2 if they get the 8th seed and there's no Mitchell. But fingers crossed that he is playing. As far as continuity goes, I think they're kind of just a plug-and-play squad. And I think Mitchell and Conley just raised their ceiling tenfold. They definitely rely on Mitchell to kind of be that guy, but Bogdan's kind of stepped into his role in the offense, not as if he had 48, but he's no spite of Mitchell, but he plays that role for them. So he'll just slide back, Mitchell will slide into the forefront, he'll get them 40 a night on the playoffs. But I do want to bring up one fact. There hasn't been a team going to the playoffs this year, especially in the West, probably in the East as well, unless you want to give Milwaukee a little bit, although they missed Giannis for a little bit, that has been fully healthy all year. And yeah, the Suns besides the Suns, I would say, the Suns have missed a few games, like with Jay Crowder and stuff, but CP3, since going vegan, is an Iron Man.
Weird, because usually he's the one to be missing a chunk.
Exactly. Booker, who's normally pretty solid, has been solid this year too. And then even Ayton, who's a big guy, 7-footer. You normally get some lagging injuries when you're a 7-footer. Nothing. He's been solid. So I think that's one advantage the Suns have, although I'm not high on them going into the playoffs. But yeah, I just want to bring that little fact up, that they're the Suns are the only team really that have had not too many injury bugs. I know if there's a Suns fan listening, oh, Sarge missed a handful here, Jay Crowder here. But the stars, every team has missed their stars for a little bit at least.
So before I get to Josh.
Uh-oh.
George went, uh-oh.
He said before, what do you think he was going to say?
I have no idea.
Well,
I have no clue.
Why don't you – we're not going to do that before we get to Josh. We're going to get to Josh. What are your thoughts on the Jazz kind of missing their backcourt for the last 3 games?
Yeah, so with Mitchell – the only thing, like, I know he's still Donovan Mitchell. He's still going to be that dude. But it's just going to be, like, those first few games back, because he's going to miss – it seems like he's missing the rest of the regular season. And then, he's probably going to come back for game 1. But how good is Mitchell going to be? Because he hasn't dealt with an injury this long in his career before. So there is, like, I guess a tiny bit of concern where I'm like, okay, how many games is it going to take him to get back into shape? My guess is 2 to 3 games.
He's a young guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I say that first game is probably going to be a sloppy stat line for him. But if those guys who have been stepping up can continue to step up, Jordan Clarkson, if he can step up and be the 6th man that he's been all year, I'm not too worried about Utah, like, continuity-wise. It also just depends on who they pull, too, because they could get some really unfavorable matchups.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, they play any team besides the Golden State Warriors, either the Mavericks or the Lakers or the Blazers. Like, that's a tough out. Like, yeah. Defending champs, and then either Luka or Dame Lillard, and then, Steph Curry. So they will probably drop that first game just because the West playoffs are going to be an absolute show, but I don't know.
I would say with the Blazers, I feel like I would favor Utah in that matchup in that sense. A little.
I would favor Utah
over the other matchups that you're giving me.
Yeah,
over Steph, LeBron, and AD, or Mitchell, or Dame. Mm-hmm. I think Dame's just like he's the odd man out, which sounds weird to say. Like,
and also you trust Wiggins more than CJ McCollum, so the Blazers are the odd team out. George, what were your final thoughts on here? We kind of took all the
with
crumbs.
The Jazz, I kind of like to call them the swap meet Spurs, just the way they pass the ball and play with the camaraderie and how they're always, they're kind of just on one loop on the team. So I'm not as worried there because you integrate Mitchell and Conley, and I feel like they'll still have that same chemistry. They do have the advantage of the fact that they played so many games together while they were the 1 seed, so I feel like it's not as bad. They didn't really integrate much more pieces, since those guys have been out, so I think they're okay. Last question I'll ask you here. Do you think more teams get away with it this season with like the lack of continuity since so many other teams are going through the same issues, Lehman?
I don't think they get away with it if they don't have continuity because you'll still lose games. I think there's a big advantage if you do have continuity, though, quickly coming back. Because like we saw with the Hawks, like they clicked instantly when they got like Bogey back and like all those guys, and it paid dividends. Yeah, but I still think I don't think you'll get let off the hook if you don't have continuity.
So next topic here, very, very devastating news when we saw this. Jaylen Brown will be missing the rest of the year. Torn ligament in his left wrist. Some things I want to go over with him. He was having a career year, set career highs in points, assists, steals, blocks, field goal, 3-point, and free throw percentage. Literally every improvable category he improved in. Made the All-Star team. Had 11 games with at least 30 points, and only had 8 in his last 4 years combined. So, thoughts here. I don't like speculating on what's going to happen to the Celtics, but obviously their ceiling took a massive hit. I don't think they get out of the play-in. But thoughts here, Nowakowski, I'll start with you.
I mean, me and Lehman mentioned it. We both don't have the Celtics getting out of the play-in. Actually, like, it's just if Brown's there, I think it's a different story. I think
Sure.
I think they would get out of the play-in. And it's not like I don't trust Kemba Walker. It's not any of that. It's just like you just lost your second best and your second best and second. Oh, I can't think of the word. Second most
Reliable.
reliable scorer on your team. So it's just an unfortunate blow for Boston. Even if they did get out of the play, and I don't know how far they'd go, they need a center. Like they would love an Andre Drummond on their team, which
they'll get him this offseason.
Yeah, they'll have a chance to get him because we want to keep Trez here.
Better late than never, Ainge.
Yeah, so I mean, I think even if they got out of the play, and I didn't know how far they were going to go. So, yeah.
Lehman, let's have you end this off here because I know you and I were pretty crushed when we saw the news. So, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I know even you, the most diehard Laker fan. I'm a Laker fan. I've become more unbiased. You still have, your undying hatred for the Clippers and Celtics, but you were crushed. I was crushed. Because just their ceiling is so high with Jaylen Brown. I could talk myself into them upsetting a team. Like, even if they have a low seed, if they have Jaylen Brown, just because they have Tatum and Brown, who could each drop 50 on a given night. And it just sucks because, now I don't see them making out of the play-in tournament. They're definitely going to lose they're lucky because the East play-in tournament is a lot less crazy than the West play-in tournament. But, I mean, we got who would they play? Because they're going to get 7 game. They'll play Charlotte. And Charlotte's without Gordon Hayward. But I could just see Boston laying an egg there and just not playing well. And then you play the Wizards in a winner-go-home situation. I'm not taking them over Russ and Bradley Beal. So it's devastating. And we'll see you next year.
Lehman, will you fall off the face of the earth if the Pacers somehow upset the Wizards?
I will be upset, but it's still a win because
But
I'm a big Pacer guy.
Sabonis. It's still Sabonis.
But I don't see what happens. I'll play a fun bet with you on that because I definitely have the Wizards. But
no,
I mean it would not be. I've mentioned this numerous times. It's very, very. It's like picking your favorite child, and the Wizards have one. They're my favorite child over the Pacers. So,
but yeah, Lehman, your point. Anytime you have two versatile 3-and-D wings, basically your ceiling is pretty damn high, in the NBA, and especially in that play-in atmosphere, relying on those two guys would probably be your safest bet. So hopefully next season they can fix up the roster a little bit, get those guys back healthy, and have a pretty deep run next season because, I guess it's fun when the Celtics go deep. Not really for me, but for NBA media and everyone alike. So last topic here. Russell Westbrook made history, obviously. 182 triple-doubles, broke a 50-year-old record. So I want to ask you two, what's the most unbreakable NBA record ever? I'll start with Lehman here. Nowakowski has a lot in his bag. So Lehman, let's see what you got.
Well, I'll take the niche ones, and then I'll let Nowakowski run the table as far as like actual ones. Fastest foul out, 2 minutes 43 seconds. Bubba Wells. So how it started was in 1997. They didn't mention this in the Last Dance documentary, but they were playing the Bulls, and they were trying to stop the high-powered Bulls offense. So they just told Bubba Wells to hack-a-shack Dennis Rodman, and he fouled him 6 times. On average, that's 27 seconds. Every 27 seconds, he fouled him. And despite Rodman being a 55% free throw shooter, he made a career-high 9 free throws that of the 12 when he was fouled. So that was a little fun one. I don't see how that one will be broken because it was specifically game planned that he would foul him. And he also, like 27 seconds, that's like fouling them right away. It's crazy. And then on another note, I don't see a way that, where is it? It's somewhere here. Oh yeah. The single season free throw percentage, Jose Calderon, 98.1. I don't know which, like what's the minimum free throws you have to attempt because I do know
125.
I do know dang, what game was I watching? Someone's shooting 100% this year, and it's not a scrub.
Wasn't it Seth Curry?
Seth missed a free throw actually. Let me see. I was watching it yesterday. I I don't know. I cannot find it.
Isn't it
But
Tony Snell?
Tony Snell is shooting, but he has like I think only like 20 of them.
Okay.
But yeah,
Anyway.
Jose Calderon 98.1% from the stripe. I think they did like a sports science on it. It like breaks like the sports science. Like we don't know how it does it because I guess it's like a mental thing. Like you're not supposed to make anything more than like 92% of your free throws because it's just like a mental thing. I don't know. Sports science said it, not me. They did the whole. I mean, they did the whole Kevin Love thing with the
Breaking the
full court
laws
shot.
of like physics here in psychology.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't see how that one gets broken unless maybe it is on the pace of getting broken. But like I said, it's not supposed to be broken. And then one serious one, Scott Skiles, 30 assists in a game. People get close, and that's why
I don't know, man.
I'm in the minority here.
I think it
and
could.
I know you think it could because yeah, if you're Steph Curry, you got a lob threat and Wiseman, you got Clay on the wing, like you got Wiggins shooting like this, like you could probably pick up 31 assists. But so many people have gotten close to Scooter Skiles' record, but they can't do it. I think the most in this era is Rajon Rondo with 24 with the Pelicans. And like it seems like those last 5 assists are the toughies. Just because, I mean, maybe you go to overtime, but there's a reason it hasn't been broken, and there's a reason it hasn't really been close recently. It's tough to get those last 5, it would seem.
All right. Well, I'll take it here because I know Josh, I have no idea what you have, so I'm gonna knock some out here and let you take the floor. But one of them, I don't even believe this stat, but everything that came from Wilt Chamberlain in 1962 was, fake. Apparently, he averaged 48.5 minutes per game. That I might bet like a second mortgage on my house that will never be broken because I don't think anyone's gonna.
You're selling your house. You don't get to bet your mortgage.
But yeah, and then some of the other ones that a lot of people have said, 33 win streak that the Lakers set back in I forget
72.
what year it was. 72. Thank you. This is why you're the host here. Another one, Stockton's assist record. I mean, it's what, like 15,000, and the most
15,600
active guys right now are barely even at like 12, who have like 2 years left. So I don't think that one gets touched. But yeah, those are mine. Josh, please enlighten me. I want to hear the freakiest of stats that nobody's heard.
Okay, I don't know how none of y'all mentioned this because the way the NBA works today, no one is getting within 500 games of this record.
Well, let's hear it.
AC Green, 1,192 consecutive.
Iron Man,
of course.
No one is touching that record ever.
Of course.
Wilt Chamberlain, most rebounds in a game, 55.
Nobody.
What? That's
Maybe your man Andre Drummond will get close.
No, not even the stat patter. Russell Westbrook can get that. It was a joke. It was a joke, guys. Don't
it was in quotations for the audio people. But that one guy that watched on YouTube, he saw you. Don't worry.
It's me. No, I'm kidding.
So those are kind of like the weird, outlandish ones. There was one. Okay, this one, I don't know what you guys think. More than one quadruple double in a career. No one's done it. Everyone's gotten one. No one's done it
twice. Interesting. Now, you guys think it's someone obvious, like a Luka?
I think so. I think that could get broken. Luka is not getting 10 steals. I'm sorry.
Or yeah, I don't know if Luka can get 10.
Draymond could have done it if he didn't decide to score 4 points when he got a triple double back in whatever it was, 2018, 2017.
Yeah,
I think a quad dub will get broken.
I think Russ can get a quad dub.
So you think someone can get 2 in a career?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is it? Because I don't.
It might not even be anyone we know right now. It could happen 25 years from now. But I think
he's playing. You think he's playing AAU ball right now?
He's playing my park as like a 12-year-old right now, and like.
And also, I mean, I know that we'll get Loverboy here, but like maybe LaMelo, maybe he gets bored. The steals are the hardest part for him.
It's definitely the steals.
That's the same conversation with Luka. Can he get 10 steals?
I'll say it right now. We will not be able to predict who does it. It's in it, but it's historically been centers with blocks. So I think if I had to pick one person,
Clint Capella.
I think it's Embiid. If I have to pick one person,
I'm gonna get spiked. Give me Jokic.
Oh my gosh! Just to continue that dumb little round.
Okay, yeah. I got one more record.
All right, let's hear it.
11 championships won as an MVP.
I was
no.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
no one's No one's touching that one.
The only star close to him is the GOAT Michael Jordan, and he has six of them. Like,
I mean,
you don't think LeBron could get 8 more?
This guy.
I don't know if LeBron can get 2 more.
I know, man. I know.
Yeah, but those are some of the.
Thank you, Nowakowski, for stimulating my brain there with those unbreakable records. We now move back to Lehman for our post-halftime topic. Back in the streets.
So we got a few things to talk about here. First up, courtesy of George. George has touched on the Bucks defense, and for good reason. They've given up 140 points, it seems like, the last 5 games. The most notable one, or the most recent one, was the Spurs, 146 and a loss. I believe they scored, what was it, 42 in the first quarter?
46, 45.
How many points in the first quarter?
45.
And I believe they ended the half with 75.
It was like 87, actually.
80. Holy guacamole! Yeah. So the Bucks defense he's talking about. George, as a resident Bucks guy, what gives, man? And what have you seen from them in this recent stretch?
Well, they give up a lot of open threes. They kind of like to pack the paint and kind of dare you to shoot threes, which in this era is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And when they were trying to come back late in the game, they had Brook Lopez out there, and it's literally been proven those lineups with him aren't the best defensive ones. They were healthy. PJ Tucker was playing. Drew was playing. They started with a zone because their man defense was so horrible. In the second quarter, they started with a zone. Their man defense couldn't stop anything. I mean, Spurs were blazing hot from 3, but that was coinciding with the fact that they give up so many open threes.
17 for 29 from the Spurs 3-pointers. Almost 60% from.
They don't huck up that many. It's because they were open. And I don't get.
DeMar DeRozan running the show. They're not shooting threes.
I don't get why this is their philosophy. Bud thinks we're playing like 2009 basketball here. Like they give up open threes on the perimeter, and because they have Yanni's inside, Brooks inside, the rim protector. So they're like, okay, try and outshoot us. And teams do that.
They were 2 points away from letting the Spurs have 5 20-plus point scores. It was not a good game. It was very, very bad. Do you see is it just a coaching thing? Because you normally blame that a lot on the Bucks mishaps. Is it a coaching thing?
An effort thing too. Like giving up 150 points. That's barely an all-star level, all-star game thing. It's effort. It's totally effort based. You can't allow yourself to give up 146 to a team that's fighting to stay at the 10 seed in the Western Conference. But yeah, the rotations I kind of dislike. But I mean, especially they have the former defensive player of the year. That should not happen. That's got the players have to be better there too.
Yeah, that's a yikes. Moving on. So I'm chilling today. I'm watching. I think it was ESPN or SportsCenter or something. And I see an ad for Dwayne Wade hosting a game show. It's one of those random ones. It's one of those, it's not good like our old game shows like Deal or No Deal or stuff like that. But it's just one of those ones that'll probably go one season and then it'll get canceled. So I want to know what NBA player, past or current, you would pick to host the game show. I'll start with Nowakowski here.
Okay. I have one current and one past.
Let's hear it.
And go ahead and cheat.
Current, I know. Sorry, that's what I do. I switch it up like that.
Just like George.
Current. I don't know why, but he's just he's an amusing guy, so I feel like it would work. Joel Embiid.
Definitely.
That's not a hot take. That's a very That's a good one.
He's just such a weird dude, and yeah, I think he'd be great for a game show. My past player, I don't know if he'd ever even get near a game show because of his history. My guy Matt Barnes. I want that man hosting a game show.
No, you can't just. It's got to be all the smoke crew hosting a wipeout type game show.
I would love it. I would watch that.
George.
Yeah, I got a few as well, but one that I haven't thought of honestly is Lance Stevenson. I mean, he's such a goofball in the court. Who knows? If it's like Family Feud, he's gonna get in a contestant's ear and blow in their ear as they say an answer. Maybe
your grandma.
Maybe even like JaVale McGee too. I know he had the bubble vlogs. He was kind of corny when he was doing them. 3-time champ Pierre. But just a few of those longtime vets that hop around teams, but are the funny bench guys, the glue guys of their teams.
Wait, could you? Sorry, before you go, Lehman. Could you see like a serious, like a total serious NBA dude working out and doing it like a Pat Bev, like someone who like is like intense?
I think KD would be interesting.
Okay.
So, someone would say something about like his Twitter, and he'd just be like, "Hold on, let me get on my burner to tweet or something."
What about Kyrie?
No, Kyrie, 100%. He's gonna like start prophesizing. Someone's gonna say something that makes him mad.
So I'll beat you guys in the cheating wise. The Hornets announcers should definitely host a game show.
1,000%.
Okay.
And then neither of y'all said Kawhi. I think Kawhi would be golden TV.
That's the serious one Nowakowski was talking
Yeah,
about.
there it is. Okay.
That would be golden TV. And then other than that, I think if we get some bad boys in there, Kevin Porter Jr. with Ron Artest, I think
You were actually talking about the bad boy Pistons. I am like, Bill Laimbeer getting up in here?
Bill Laimbeer is more likely to play on a game show than host a game show. He looks like every white dad in America, actually. Maybe Mark Aguirre and Zeke could play like a good cop, bad cop, maybe. But I mean,
Lamar's getting up in there. Anyways,
all right. So now back to some serious topics. Suns dropped back-to-back games. We talked about it as far as covering the Warriors, but I want to focus more on the Suns. We covered a lot of it already, but I want to get some quick thoughts here because we have Nowakowski. How worried are you?
So it's a worry of mine. So it wasn't a worry when they were just like dropping games early. Like early on, they gave up, it was over. But then that Warriors game, it was late. So that is one concern for me. But on the other hand, I feel like they're kind of just at the point where they're going to be the 2 seed. They're just kind of cruising in and kind of coasting at this point. So, 1 to 10, my worries are like a 6 right now. I'm kind of worried, but I feel like they might be able to just like turn it up for the playoffs. I hope they can.
I want to get your thoughts on what I said earlier because a few pods ago because I don't think you covered it when you texted us like what you thought about the podcast. Chris Paul, normally known as a second round exit kind of guy, he's kind of turned his narrative around last few seasons just because he's overachieved and he also made the conference finals for the first time in his career with Harden. Are you worried that like that could come because he's had talent enough to make it past the second round? He just couldn't seem to do it for most of his Clipper years, all those Clipper years actually. So do you buy into that, or do you think this is the new? He's vegan now. He's Chris Paul. He can make it past second round.
Okay, it's so tough this year with the West. Like they could pull the Lakers in the first round and be a first round exit, or they get the lucky hand and they don't have to face one of those tough teams, and they can get to the conference finals and play the Lakers. It's really a matter of what they pull, but I understand the narrative of that second round exit, and it is something that is on my mind, especially with the matchups and who they're going to play. So, if you're that the Chris Paul second round exit, that is a concern of mine. Yes.
George, quick thoughts on just I thought it, and then a guy who likes the Suns and Josh kind of said it. This entitlement that they have because they're kind of locked up the second seed. They're kind of looking bored. Looks like a championship hangover without the championship. How worried are you with this Suns team kind of being able to flip the switch when playoffs happen?
Initially, not too bored unless they see the Lakers in the first round. Any other of the playing teams, I think they handle, even though they dropped a game to the Warriors. I still think over the course of a series, they would have enough to beat them. Second round gets a little bit more dicey. Say they do, advance to the second round. They're most likely seeing the Clippers.
Which Clippers and at most 6.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with them. Unfortunately, I do like seeing Chris Paul go deep, but I don't see.
Hey, oh wait,
pause. I like seeing Chris Paul, into the conference finals, but I don't think it happens this year.
Is Ayton their X factor, especially first round against teams like the Blazers and the Warriors and stuff, and the Mavs and stuff like that? Because he's
Actually, I think it's their guard wing defenders, especially with guys like Dame, Steph, Luka, guys like Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Torrey Craig. Those guys are going to be really important in stopping those elite offenses.
Word up. Last one here until we get to look ahead. So really weird one here. Bobby Marks on Twitter, I'm sure you're familiar. He's verified, blue check. He announced that the NBA has said that Jokic and Embiid both qualify for forward and center all NBA spots. So everyone was thinking like, oh man, the top 2 MVP candidates are centers. who's going to be on the first team. It's got to be Jokic who's going to win MVP, right? But Embiid's had a better year, and let's take into account the games played, that. You can have them both now, although they're both pure centers. George, I want to get your thoughts on just them doing that. And then if you had a vote, would you kind of stick with the norm and be like, I'm voting center, like I'm going to stick true to what it is? Or would you be like, you know what? It's a forward thing. I mean, it's a forward-thinking thing.
I don't like it because it takes away from, especially like in the West with all the elite forwards you have. I think it kind of strips away the point of it. If you're gonna give centers 2 spots, you might as well just go completely positionless.
Yeah. Top 15 players in the NBA. Top 5, top 10, top 15.
Or guard and then forward/center, so like you could have more than one center. But I mean, especially in like today's game, you really have like 4 or 5 elite centers. The Rams, the Cats, Gobert, Jokic, and Embiid. Like, you have 3 all defensive spots. Those guys are going to fill them out. So
I like that point there. Like there's not a lot of centers. Oh no, we got to fit 10 centers in the All-NBA.
Like no, this isn't the 90s, early 2000s where you have like generational center talents. And I mean, we do have a few obviously now, but you're not losing sleep overnight because I don't know, Nikola Vucevic isn't making an all-defensive team.
I mean, yeah, just a few years ago we had to change the All-Star game just because there weren't enough good centers. Like we had to put 3 forwards, 2 guards for.
We almost got Zaza Pachulia in.
Well, he did get in. The NBA just didn't tell us, and they changed
just didn't put him in.
I know he got the votes. I know for a goddamn fact he got the fan votes because he was leading them with like a week left. And like, oh no, Steph Curry passed him. No, he didn't. Zaza would have made the NBA All-Star game. But yeah, Josh. I mean, we had guys like DeAndre Jordan make an All-NBA first team in 2015, and we didn't change it then. I don't see reason to change it now. I say you ask a guy at the beginning of the year, you ask Nikola Jokic, what position are you? If he says point guard, screw it. He's a point guard. He said that. He has to be a point guard now. But he's a center. Like he's obviously a center, so is Embiid. What do you feel about them being able to vote him in at like the forward spot?
I mean, it confirms Lehman. This is our worst fear. Randall won't be first team if this is what's going on. Randall won't be first team. But I mean, in all seriousness though, so I'm with George here. If you're gonna do it, go all positionless because I don't like that because you have guys who are pure centers, and then you have guys who are forwards, and it's so I don't like this. I understand the NBA doesn't want to have to choose between Embiid and Jokic for that spot, even though it's Jokic because he's the MVP of the season. But I don't like that. I think it takes away from the forward position and also the center. It takes away from both positions, really.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But yeah, I hope this they either just say, okay, we're going all positionless, 15 best players, or they're just like, this was a 1-season thing because we didn't want to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah. I mean, and whoever gets voted in, if they do end up doing this, if Jokic and Embiid both make first team, which maybe the contracts because I'm sure there's incentives making first team. They both deserve to make first team. Maybe they'll vote them in like that. But like whoever gets the power forward spot, you're all NBA second team. Like whoever gets that true center spot between Jokic and Embiid, that's the All NBA first team guy. In my opinion,
if they gave Jokic power forward, you would say then, he should have been on the second team center.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Even though Jokic is MVP.
Well, I would hope that he's first team center. I would hope so. But if they vote him in at power forward, in my eyes, he's All NBA second team center.
Okay, got it. I just want to make it. Okay.
All right. Look ahead time. George, you got yours?
I do have it actually.
I will be Nowakowski. If you have any of the schedule in front of you, I'd be more than happy to hear your look ahead. I'm not going to catch you off guard though. Me and George will go first. If you got a look ahead, go ahead and say it. George.
Pretty important game here for the Trailblazers. They're kind of in danger of falling back to the play-in spot. They play the short-handed Utah Jazz. I believe it's tomorrow, Wednesday, May 12th. They play the short-handed Jazz. If they win this game, it really
go ahead and take because on Thursday they play the Suns too. So go ahead and take just the Blazers like back to back.
Yeah, this is a huge stretch. I believe if they drop 2 and the Lakers win out, Lakers do have a favorable schedule. Lakers end up being 6. Portland will fall to the play-in. So this is a big weekend for him. I'm going to take Portland overall here.
What you have him going 2-0?
I have him beating the Jazz. Suns I'm up in the air on. I'm going to have it being a loss, but I could see them being 2-0. I think Dame, when he with a sense of urgency, the Blazers have been a lot better. So I think if they lock down and say, hey, let's not fool around here, it's a winnable game, at least for one of them. I'll take them splitting.
All right. I got on Thursday TNT 4:30 Sixers Heat. Both team or Heat are on a win streak there. Sixers has locked up that first spot, so I hope Embiid plays. It's not the second half of back-to-back, so I hope he plays. And it might be a first round match or a second round matchup. Who knows if Heat win that 4-5 matchup? But it should just be a good game overall. Two very good defenses, and Sixers Heat don't got to really explain too much there. I do have the Sixers winning, but I have it close. Nowakowski, you got to look ahead.
Yeah. So, this is the only one that really has real playoff implications left. Is New Orleans, Dallas. It's on Dallas's end. They're tied with the Blazers, with the Lakers 1 game behind. The Mavericks do have a more favorable schedule than the Blazers do, but they still got to take care of business. They lost to Memphis. Pelicans are shorthanded, but anything is possible. I do have the Mavs winning this game, though.
Pelicans have a chance to be some real a-holes here. They play the Lakers and the Mavs. They can just be very, very rude and try and beat these teams.
They could, but this is the perfect game for the Mavs to do something like the Mavs do, where they take a team light and then they get spanked.
Exactly.
This is a game where it happened to Memphis. Like, I think they took Memphis lightly and Memphis punched them in the mouth, and hopefully they learned their lesson and it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, so we will be covering that on Thursday. Again, I don't know if you guys really noticed it, but we did have a bit of a different format here. Let us know if you noticed it or if you like it, or hey, maybe you want us to go back to the old one. Who knows? We're just trying out some new stuff here, trying to figure out what works best for us. But that's how we're doing for tonight's episode. Again, Mr. Nowakowski, thanks for joining us. Tell them where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, you can find I'm on Instagram at J_sports_podcast. The podcast is J Sports Podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all that. I cover basketball, but I kind of cover sports as in general and cover everything. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, it's not the J basketball podcast. It's the J Sports, hockey, baseball, football. I hop on his football one sometimes, even though I'm not the most known about football. I really like talking about it. Tim Tebow, baby. But yeah, thanks again, Nowakowski, for joining us, having us on. You normally have me on, so I'm used to saying that. But yeah, that's it for tonight's episode. Thanks for watching or listening. If you liked what you heard, make sure to follow us at THHoopers Instagram and Twitter. George, he just keeps growing on Twitter, so maybe you'll get a response. Maybe he'll go Hollywood. Who knows? But if you tweet at the THHoopers account, you'll get a follow. And more than likely a response. George, will you respond to them? I don't know.
Yes, I will.
Yes, he will. Yeah, I don't know what's his deal. But yeah, thanks for listening. And thanks for being an OG. Take care, guys.